Okay. Oh, there's Dorje. Good to see you, Dorje. And Alex is with us, and Zara is with us. So we'll do our opening prayers and then we'll do introductions. So we'll begin with the altruistic motivation with our prayer book. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dangwa je pe dra no par je pe geg. Tar pa dang tam she ken pe bar du jo par je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dog now dong drell nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe zhang ju brin po she to pa ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deshe du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcends awa dangur pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pal nam la kap su chi o. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi o. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi o. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi o. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi o. Pa wo ka jo cho kyong song me song geshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi o. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangju Ningpo Chi Ki Bar Sangye Namla Kapsu Chi Chodang Shangshub Sampayi Soklang Deshin Kapsu Chi Jitar Nongki Deshegi Shangshub Tugni Ke Padang Shangshub Sampe La Pala Te Dagrim Shin E Patar Te Shin Drola Pandandu Shangshub Samni Ke Gishing De Shin Du Ni La Pala Rimpa Shindu La Pajio. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonam La Shangshu Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Jinsoki Pe Sonamgi Drola Penshir Sangye Jupasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pesem chantam she dewadang dewe gurdang dempar jorchi. Dug now dang now gi gudang drawar jorchi. Dug now me pe dewadang mi drawar jorchi. Nay ring jack dang ni dang drawe dang namla ne pa jorchi. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow, to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tanopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu me bhava, Sara siddhi me prayatsa, Sara karma sutsa me, Sitsantriya kuruham, ha 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 ho Bhagavan, Sara tada gata bhajra mame munsa bhajri bhava mahasamaya satvaha. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarvatada Gata Bhajra Mame Munsa Bhajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satvaha Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bhajra Mame Munsa Bhajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satvaha. Likewise be extinguished all enemies to my purpose. Whatever evil forces are in me, be defeated. Do this so that when I am victorious, all pure radiance melts into me, completely purified. Take all this knowledge, food, and drink peacefully. Enjoy it and be satisfied, so that all obstacles may be destroyed. Be liberated from all obstacles, all general obstacles. Maras are defeated by this gesture of the Buddha. By reciting this mantra, may all the Maras be purified. As a result, may all the Maras be defeated. Om Ah Hum. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. Geshe Lharampa Jampa Choedup is our guest tonight, who is going to be giving us a teaching on the 8 verses of mind training, or the Lojong, as it's called. Geshe Jampa is the brother to Dorje Damdul. He's got his camera off right now, but they are brothers, and their niece is Yangchen, who is in the picture with Geshe La. So all 3 of them have escaped from Tibet years ago, and so on. And Geshe and Yangchen right now are in the home of Geshe's sister, who lives in Fairfax, and Dorje lives in Fairfax also. Geshe is one of the main administrators and teachers at Sarajay Monastery in India. So I'm just going to read, so I don't miss anything. I'm just going to read this brief introduction so that you can appreciate Geshe. It says, Geshe Lharampa Jampa Choedup was born in Kham in eastern Tibet. He joined the local monastery at the age of 8 years and has remained dedicated to his monk's robes and monastic training for over 40 years. Geshe escaped to India in 1992 to pursue higher monastic education in Buddhist philosophy, psychology, and meditation at Sarajay Monastery in South India. In 2018, he achieved the Geshe Lharampa degree which is equal to our PhD, from Sarajay Monastic University. He recently completed a 3-year service as administrative manager of the Sarajay Sawa Kyangse. Now, together with 26 years of spiritual and meditation practice experience, training experience, Geshe La wishes to share his expertise with Westerners who are interested in Buddhism. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. And Geshe La, thank you very much for coming. Dorje Damdol. Dorje, can you turn your camera on for a moment? Well, maybe not. Okay. Dorje is the brother of Geshe and uncle to Yangshin, and he escaped Tibet before a couple of years before Geshe did. And he attended college courses. Dorje attended college courses in Nepal, and then came to America and graduated from the University of Michigan. And he holds a master's degree of communications. And he works as a translator at Radio Free Asia here in Washington. And he also teaches communications at Nova, the Northern Virginia College in Manassas. And he is working very closely with Geshe. And I have been talking with Geshe and Dorje once a week for the past year. And we have accumulated many recordings of our conversations, which are very interesting, where we share perspective and so on. And we're hoping that we'll be able to put this together in a book. And both Geshe and Yangshin and Dorje have told their stories of their escape, what it is for ordinary people to escape from Tibet. We maybe have read the stories about the Dalai Lama and so on, and very, very heartfelt stories. But to hear it from what we might say ordinary people is very, very impressive. So we're going to be talking about the 8 verses of the mind training the mind. At this particular time, does anybody have any questions or comments before I go on? Because I want to read the 8 verses, which doesn't take a lot of time, so everybody is familiar with what we're going to talk about, what Geshe is going to talk about. Does anybody have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for making time to just be here. I just have gratitude to be able to listen. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So Geshe understands some conversational English, and he can speak a little bit of conversational English and so on, but of course he prefers to teach in Tibetan. So Dorje will be doing translation, as well as Yangshin will be doing translation. So fear not, we'll be able to understand everything that's being said. Okay, well then I'm going to read the 8 verses then, and then I'm going to turn it over to Geshe La, and he can give his teaching. So if you've got this text, I sent this to everybody. You should have had this, whether you printed it or you downloaded it, but we made it available to everybody a couple different times to let you know that this is what we're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to read the translation of the root text. So the first one is verse 1. It says, when the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings, who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them clear. The second verse is, whenever I am with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. The third verse is, in all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face and avert it. Verse 4, whenever I meet people of unpleasant character, of those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, may I cherish and care for them as if I had found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. Verse 5, whenever others, because of their jealousy, treat me badly with abuse, insult, slander, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat myself and offer the victory to others. Number 6, when someone whom I have benefited or in whom I have placed great trust and hope harms me or treats me in hurtful ways without reason, may I see that person as my precious teacher. Number 7, in brief, may I offer both directly and indirectly all help, happiness, and benefit to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all of their harmful actions, pain, and suffering. And the 8th verse, the last verse, is, may I keep all of these practices undefiled by stains of the 8 worldly concerns, which are gain and loss, pleasure and pain, praise and blame, fame and dishonor. And by recognizing the emptiness and illusory nature of all existing things, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. So those are the 8 verses, which you may be familiar with because you've heard these expressed in the 37 ways of the Bodhisattva and in other practices that we do, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma and so on. So you've heard that many different ways. This is the root from which they come. So Geshe is going to speak, and at the end, we're going to leave time for question and answers. So if during the talk, if thoughts come up into your mind that you'd like to bring up and ask Geshe, please write them down, and there'll be time for you to speak at the end of our session today. So thank you very much, Geshe La. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention, and please enjoy the teaching today. Thank you, Geshe.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Nice to meet all Dhamma friends. I'm very happy to you all. Thank you very much. My English letter. Yeah, they 드린 간소디 가르세고 또po 추론드네 망보전 좀 안에 디냠도라네 마랑초게 가르세고 생그 로종그 계산들이 시에 거기지 라바티 아니면 단에 소소 생띵네 봐 가보시오 용도도 스티보시라 용도도.
I'm very happy today to be joined by all my Dharma friends, and then that too we are talking regarding training of the minds, which is very important and essential. So I'm very honored. Thank you all.
아니 마랑초 추도 랜스라기 또 스코디 제진에 제남바선 는 종화 때문에 레라버지 말했더니 인가 송사 소설 미세 초안두스.
Additionally, thank you all for your time, especially Brother Lens for holding this so that everybody could gather together and have this event together. Thank you all.
근데 이제 완소 당완소 딜라 코란 로종 세거레스 용 코란 거 치데 저나서 그 인지데 라 차라 라차데 저나서 만신에 요 말레스 이나야 간초 그 따지 파초 냠뇽 베리즈 해야 돼 개첨부 쇼즈기요스.
Mhm. As we are gonna start with the mind training, the word mind training itself like identifies, and I'm very happy that we are gonna talk regarding how to train the mind. So since you all have gotten the English translated version, so I hope like we all can discuss this matter.
야. 근데 인데 제장 당한저 로종시고라 안저 로종세디 로종 치제마스네디 거라나 쇼로가 제유베 찬 로종 치제마체 다 로종 치제마겐 제바보 게시 랑르 타바싱이 되게 어느 거텔라 어느 도자지 휴초가 제스.
Well, mind training, and this mind training has 8 verses, and that's how it was named, like the 8 verses for training mind. So I would like to speak a little bit regarding the author Geshe Lharampa, who had composed the 8 verses of training mind.
안에 게시 랑리 타파데 간서 단단드네 야찌페다 로제자 고장원에 되게 폐견조게 안에 변한게 안에 케바 산지 마쳐바지 대한 케바 인단데 그런 거 문에 자네게 남생의 그런 냠뉴 시우 여된조 안에 남생의 그런 거 용화 시우지 퇴진에는 마두스네 로종 치제 마센 제견조게 된데게 시부 담바지래 되어레스.
He was a Tibetan Buddhist scholar from Tibet back in maybe like 800 or 900 years ago. And then he was a Tibetan Buddhism monk with very great practice. And with his practices and all this, and then this 8 verses for training the mind came into action.
제가 먼저 로종야 그거들라 존신 양다버지게 토네 야 뚝부디 잠바네 뚝사디 연나 메나데 산지 샤자 투발라 뚝구어레스다 때 뚝야디 존세데 가르사나 산지 코란 쮸 차창 세 연된 차창 조 땅원에 자네 그 안초 그 란데 라나메 번낭에데 산지 코란라 임바 손자 투사데 산지레야 뚝구어레스.
When we think like for training the mind and all, think the reasons and the root, it goes back to all the teachings of Lord Buddha. Because Lord Buddha, being an enlightened person, like we consider Lord Buddha as like a person who has no fault, like how do we say, like no feel emotional attachment and all these things, right? So that's why. So the root for this mind training, it's all from the teachings of Buddha.
근데 임바 송자 제장한서 변나로라 산지기 최 다당 때라야 뭐를 다야다 제마 다야다 야 파라라 냠찬 로야다 근데게 답에디 네초 잡다림바 망보지요레스.
And there are also many histories like how in Tibet the Buddhist religion was being first it was introduced, later there was a time where it has been destroyed, and then somehow it has been back into practice again. There were times.
땡이 망보쇼모가 제 천소가 변제 떠나나 이제라 망보 천소 뒤쳐다 근데 중소나 변나로라 자가나로라 산지게 남타다 때네네 자 삼지게 최양다바데 별로 다탄 뜻고는 저서 된대게 투히나로 제단 세부 챙그레스.
And I think you guys might have known like how Lord Buddha was born in India, but then the Buddhism was well spread across all Asia, but mainly like the Tibetans follow the Buddhism way in a very like how do we say, like in a rootly manner. So you all can like do some researches and read regarding that as well when you get time.
안에 만서 제장 게시 라리 타파 변나로로 페비게 땅아랑서 로제자 고장은 그 쇠텔라 간데렌도세나 변나로로 템바데 마지 냠 제네 안에 할라마 샹추에다 할라마 이히웨니세데 변나로로 빈자니게 투구 예제네 안에 자가게 케바 안에 나랑서 냠에 조어지세데 별로바 덴리 휴제네 때 되게 다 준진다고 때레디오레스.
And then for Geshe Lharampa, he was when during that time when he was composing the 8 verses for training the mind, those time in Tibet, it was the time where like Buddhism have been diminished because of other like internal inflicts and all such things. So during that time, two brothers have taken the responsibility, and then they have they traveled to India, and then and then great Indian scholars came to Tibet, and then that's how like along with all these works, somehow the Buddhism came back.
살라마 샹추웨다 살라마 이히웨 니가나니 이히웨 디게 탑시 땅 전에 그런 세솔려 땅고에 중레스디 나랑서 샹추랑린디 체도.
And then for these the Lamrim text, the two brothers were Lharampa Jampa and
살라마 이히웨 이히웨데 장칸나로라디 르 땅고 중.
Yeah, these two were the brothers who had sacrificed their lives in order to like continue the Buddhist lineage in Tibet.
야, 네 대체도 제장다 살라마 샹추웨게 소마 잠보 샹추웨 고주베슬라로 살라마 샹추웨게 냠에 조어제데 네 코랑게 네 미탄체네 별 덴디 슈투 아네 별 덴디 슈네 아네 살라 냠에 조어제게 라우리 쳔보데 제네 데네네 가랑서 까담 세야데다 단다 가르셔고 게시 라우리 타바데소 아네 게투체네 페버레스 주비 게투르다.
With the sacrifices of these two brothers, and then the Kadampa lineage came into existence in Tibet, and then that's how Kadampa, like Geshe Lharampa is a Kadampa lineage scholar of the Tibetan.
제가 당한서 까담 세야데 가르치려고 그래서나로와 디 뒤쳐들 까담스라고 다 까담 님마다 사마세트네 니여라 당한서 단다디 까담 님마데 해래되어 근데 임바 손자 까담 세야데 가르려고 그래서나 냐메 조어제게 삼지게 송지여와 삼지게 송데 고리기 뭐 님들은 현두서 냐메 조어지게 삼지게 송데라 코랑게 담보파 로종체네 삼지게 송데서 수소고 줄을 수야 셈데다 냠도 두수 송데체 셈데라 냠도 송데체네 수소고 셈데 짱마조야라 파 메다마송 따다 야퉁이지 차송아 임바 송자 다 디그 로종체 땅 주바텔라 까담스라 워레스.
And then the name like Kadam, it was a way of practicing the teachings, the Lord Buddha teachings. It was a practice how like the teachings were being studied and then practiced on yourself, and then conflicting yourself away from all these emotions and then the mental afflictions. It's basically practicing the teachings to yourself, and that's how it was named as Kadam.
야, 다 근데 인도 먼저 단다디 까담기 계시들라 계시 랑리 타바시고래 셔당 까담기 군치 송세한다고다 까담기 계시 람샤 니세한다고다 어느 동대 제윈중네 세한다고다 당가랑 수든데 망보지도스 까담 계시 할레베 케바 망보들라 요레스.
And then in this Kadam lineage, there are so many great scholars, many great Geshis as well. And Geshe Lharampa, the author for 8 verses, was one of them.
야, 제가 계시 람리타발라 공사 쪽에 디 로종 측제마데 양도 나쇼고 정한서라 테마 망보 남유라 대송디 잠바니 공사 쪽에 가르치는 것에서나 계시 람리타발라 람탕 몰하마스라네 호리게 샴추고 생곰 생제게 동에한테 망보 상인디 잠바니 gemche 양시 형에 들어지래 한도스.
And then whenever His Holiness the Dalai Lama teaches regarding, gives teaching regarding the mind training, the Lojong, and then he tend to say that Geshe Lharampa, when he practices compassion and then bodhicitta, when he sees the pains in others, he tend to cry himself, the author Geshe.
야, 다 대인도 어느 쳐서고 대 카투텔라다 자와랑 간란 로샤긴스.
Now Geshe is saying he is gonna start with the 8 verses, like the overview one.
야. 전속의 인지 돈에 자와라 세로 제스라 단다 디송으로 즉 담보되게 다네 셈제 탐제라 이긴 노벌 레 합이 전초 루베 상바에 따도 제방 zem바 효스 미츠간 효로 담보되기 쪽이어서
This is the first words of the root text,
야
the one he is reciting.
제자 다니스야 돼 기실랑을 타봐 니게 다 가르치기 위해 니 가르사노 땅기 위해 니 간데로지 제 자기 위해 써야 돼 간다 다니스야 돼 저기 subject 로딩 메신바레스
In this one over here, it says, "May I always cherish them and hold them dear." The I, this I defines Geshe how he thinks of others.
제가 다 기실랑을 타봐 그 투상 예동데 다니스 셈제 탐지라스는 송요레스와 셈제 탐지라스 송용데 잠바네 디기 다가랑게 치 다가랑게 기실랑을 타봐데 샴주그 셈라 냥리 시부 징게지 임바 샴주그 셈라 냥리 제바 짱마체 코란라 빼디 샴주그 셈데 베조제는 뭐고 빼디 나랑쪽이 미 리제 케바도서 리제를 샹추가 남시게 된데게 샹추가 셈라 샹추니지 임바디 하고 두레스
And then over here, when he says for the welfare of all living beings, he's thinking of all the living beings, right? This clearly defines like how his cultivation for the bodhicitta practice, like the compassion toward others. It clearly defines how like he is compassionate toward others.
야 배나 나랑서 미 페반다고지 차기가 바이나 사노 땅땅다고데 마소나 수수기 예칼라 그래스 담보 아니 테네는 말레 온데 잠바네 네게 대사게 싸네데 라그레스 tum바나오데 테네는 말레 온데 수수 나미 라임 그래스 수수 나미 나로네야 수수가 야슈 쟁이데 라임 그래스 텐데네 파파팔레 온데 잠만 타메 타주데 칼라 나세데 칼 레임 그래스로와 마 제장 텐데 마임 바체 다당 게시 라를 타파기 셈제 탐지 셀라운데 잠만 사만은 라냥 그 따와디 히브요레스 사만은 징송 그 따와디 히브요레스
And then, for example, for us ordinary people, if we think in a wider perspective, it's gonna be like my country, and then when it comes down, it's gonna be my place, my family, and then in the end, it always comes to mine, this, mine, that, right? But then for Geshe, the author Geshe Lharampa, he's saying the welfare of all living beings, and then always cherish them and always hold them dearly. It's them, not like I. So this clearly defines the importance of cultivation of bodhicitta and compassion.
제가 드리 제온데 가르쳐 버고 생지 탐지에서 나와 제 두선들이 코리디 투상도 산노 견다데 생지로 쇼리 메바 니리 메바 사만 라냐타야디 존센 소오디 가르르 싱거스나 코남바 소게 네 라운다 옌다 간데지 임반다 사마 대반도바 징송다 동에 면도바 징송 임베 차네 사만 라냥도 따와디 좀투고레스
And then this immense kindness of all living being, like including all living being inside here, because there is no differentiation. And the reason for this is because all of us want happiness, right? It isn't like somebody wants sadness or anything, because all of us are pursuing the happiness, like the cultivation of bodhicitta in other way. Like, so that's why, so there is no definition. That's why Geshe is saying all living beings.
Yeah, and the che장 Geshe Lharampa Jampa semje 탐제 대 술레 하반다고 지다기였을라디 이잉 노블레 하와데 semje 탐제 이잉 노블 나랑서 단단 잠불링가라 자침보 제데 세다 무다 다이몬드다 따지 잘랑고 본다 자침보 가르치기에나로 산이 수수수수 간데지마도 간데지 이임바이나 자 체슈데 초월 용이 동에 돌공이 대와 둥게 semje 참마데 따자 체슈데 인스 대초제와 체슈데 인스는 대송고요레스
And then basically the verse one it defines that when we tend to have desires, right, heartfelt desires towards the gold or those jewelry stuffs. But then over here, he is comparing all these desires below, and then for the well-being of all sentient beings, which is way more important. And then he wanted to cherish them and then hold them dearly instead of the jewelries.
이인가 노블에 하지지 생제 탐제 삼노 당기요 바지 생제 탐제 랑에 아니 셈제 대소야 쇼리 메바지 이지 가시지 마인 바지 상마체 대출랑아 제와 유에싱이 코초라 진진 지기 유에서야 돼야 드린 참 마인 바 산이 참 마인 바 지 다비 투스 마 지비 투스다 텐데까서 지보 참 마인 바 두비까서 무투바 마인 바 아도세 등이 갑투 이나 빼데 nga sadu inare rudu inare nyedu inare ngal kangin thedu inare chi tu kandre jamato kandre ji imba inani ta ngal kadu ina so tsewa tegu sa chenzi chegu sa de suyin se du zambani semje thanji de yin songo res ta to jepan zimba hyosya di.
And then it clearly shows that when he says, may I always cherish them, this them goes to the all living beings. And then when he's saying may I always, it's always here, not like when he's happy, then he's thinking of cherishing them and all such things. It's always whether he is suffering or whatever, but he's always cherishing all the living beings.
Hendewe ane semje thanji jinzi cheya de samno kandiji ki jinzi chegi insroa. samno kandiji ki thone jinzi chegi insude ngamso tsik somba dere doncho rupe samba inser. semje techo la ngege ta ngwene chane chigi sayat chunchun chida, tongya chunchun chida, nima jini chigi deji yunga che donrawa tendiki nge khonso la jinzi chewa mayimba. 다 콘소 원에 땡도 그 동에 싸와네 파 유제네 땡도 그 동에레 타비 그 땡도 그 대화치라 아니 두고 삼사가 삼바 찌게 땅에 콘소라 아니 진지 찌게스.
And then the reason for may I always cherish them, all the living beings, is in order to accomplish that supreme goal, which is the determination to attain the enlightenment.
원나서 제가 나랑서 된초스라로와 된나니 된 망보 루에 예배나니 된 초도 줘봐 된 라나 매봐 땡도 동엘레 타비 남서 다 가르스 나랑서 레가 제두이나레 지금 로두이나레 녀두이나레 레던 사마디 디지기 체도로 왔어 덴데 임바송자 나랑서 그 단다기 대화 사마디 내가 그 대화라고지 차디 그래스 덴데 임바송자 당원에 땡도 그 동엘레 타비기 디지세야 덴데 지 루비 그 삼바지 제반 심바 쇼 러기데 제반 징기 인스 러디 잠만에 덴데 임바 손자 땡도 동엘레 타비 대화세야 돼 땅안서 때라 아나 삼지게 타바하시는 소레스.
And then the attainment of enlightenment is the supreme goal, and which is motivated by the heartfelt desire to serve the welfare of all living beings and then cherishing them.
제가 덴데 인도 만속이 다 디가나 장고레스. 땡도 동엘레 타비 타바세야 주 요르베스. 안에 덴데 마이 바체 나랑서 미치게 상론 덴데 땅 투그레 베세야지 란다 옌 사마 찌빠 찐송 낭미다 시미다 지 자다 년다 참말라 베데 제와 찐송 레는데 지 미치게 상론 땅 투그레 베 덴데 상론 땅에 네체레 레 요르베 세안도시 땅아랑서 미 페반다고 지나 저 첨부 차디고 누스.
And then while we are going through the first root test, and we can get such questions, like for example, in this one it says we should always cherish them and then hold them dearly, right? Will it be possible for an ordinary person in order to love all our friends and then the enemies also, it's impossible, right? So there is somehow an escape, a way to escape from the sufferings eternally. So attainment of the enlightenment is the supreme goal in total.
야, 제전 근데 임바 송자 로 종고레스 로 싱에들 가츠이네 종고레스 송데 냥가지 띵사레스.
And which is why the mind training, like how we always say, train your mind. I think that's very important.
와서 안에 다 최전 디 띵서부 효래선도 소 샴주가 생각고라 코남바 속에 나란서로 답 대보진에 단다 측뉴뉴도 내진에 송야래서와 근데 임바 손다 띵나란서 난 준도네 인지기 측 돈은 돈투게나 디그래 배이 돈은 돈투나 디그래 디 로로 줘야 단디 양이 양도 상도 단투나 빼면서 계산요래스
And then these 8 verses were um, were done in order to like cultivate or practice bodhicitta, right? The mind training itself is talking about a cultivation or practice of bodhicitta. So Geshe is suggesting that reading these root texts, the verses daily would be helpful for us in our daily life so that we could practice it, so that these verses would remind us.
나서 대체와 제가 덴들레온데 잠만에 제가 땅에 가마들 도디지 휴초하지 나한테 합바르세야디 여러베세 땡도 등에래 타게 합바세야지다 아는 나랑도 지卷참마 제면조 연된 차상 레데 인조 된다게 상지 공파세야디 원에 토야 여러베세 여비 뿌르 가와 여러세야 나오지 다 저와 나랑도 지구거라 나랑도 그때 근데 여비 뿌르 된간서 히토와 제구레스 근데 임바 손자 넘버 산지비 최나로 딘데게 때라 파파 유베게 두지게 리바다 탄지 쳔바 유베 두지게 리바스는 뿌르게 존세 양다가 토네 다 용체모나로라 아니 야마 드레닝다 데 제네 히오시 차부 두게레스
And then when we say like for accomplishing the supreme goal, it goes to the enlightenment, right? And then yeah, we will be having that thought like, is there any like enlightened being? Like, do we have any proof or such things, right? And then Geshe is saying that in Buddhist teachings, there were many debates going on regarding all such things, and there are many proofs in the teachings as well.
다 디다 냠들게 제장 나랑서 잠블링게 메다 소소다 소선다에 미다 슈소 고들 게차 뉴뉴지 해고 상도스라 나랑서게 지 땡도 동엘에 타야 여바지다 단다게 나랑서 디지게 내단데 간데 이면다오지
And as a human being and then being a social animal, I would like to like add some like would like to speak something regarding like how our status are right now, like the happiness which we are feeling, like the level of happiness. I would like to talk regarding that a little.
제가 나랑서 문에 단에 단다 나랑서 또친 아리제카 채남 드리직을 대요레스 제컬 차샤바이나 10변조 표선 초바 천자리 바 표선 초바 진문에 단이 그 튼다 드람때 소이나 표선 초바 드리직가나 네사산이 드린다지가나 요레스 이나 양스 나랑서 아리lum발라 둥에 추는 유야 면조들 레두에 지 변조 추와 이나레 드와 이나레 쪼와 이나레 둥에 추는 유야 면조들 레두에스 따디 잠바니 자원이네 레멘도스 차상라 동에지 간다 지 젠다 라미난소기 동에 용데는 세버레도스
Well, we are in the United States. It's a very well developed and an independent country, but it's not like that people living in the United States does not have any sufferings because the country is very well developed. It's a democratic and all such things. Even those rich people and even those poor ones, everybody has their own sufferings.
그래 근데 임바 손사 체다 난저 참창에 있는 간소라 디 그나 칼라 사야데 수부 초야 단지 좋아 힘보지 요네 된데 체도 사고여레데 칸 참창라 칼라사 만다니 나란소로 조고나야라 소바다 된데기 둥에 용대게 취니레스 참창라 동야 이나레 지 르르 평하게 체도 동고여레데 참창라 뇌도야게 둥에 용대야 참창라 네 간소 파춘 루유지디 잠만이 기보 가보지는 로고 사나야 거래 쟁왕게 양 강인 체대한다보다 뜻된데기 지고 간용다보디 나랑 수지 축이 녀만 하시던데 지 용대야지 도와스
And which is why, for example, sometimes when we eat, we are eating it for our own health and all such things, right? But then sometimes we tend to eat a lot, and then that the diet, the food turns into like after eating, you are getting a stomach upset and all such things. So for example, even if you're like, if everybody is going on a tour, like for traveling a long distance happily, but sometimes like accidents and all such bad things also occur, right? So this the suffering, it's never ending. It keeps on rotating like one or the other way.
제가 대초 강조게 시단도 차샤베는 나랑서 동해 춘춘들의 망보 유행할 때 대소 동해 대소 만속에 단다 동네 제야다 대소 제야디 나랑서 로장당당 산노당다다 대소래 시우지 라래 되어레스.
So in order to face all these small sufferings in our day-to-day lives, it's all depends on our mind training. If we are well trained, then these if like sometimes this might be a big issue to us, but then it's not for others because of their own, like the way they think. So mind training is very important.
야, 제가 근데 이제 제가 당한테 뒤송으로 제가 근데 만속 그 동해 때 가리나 야마지 제운데 자만에 동해를 조주 매와 임바 손자 다 동해 때서 조다 建了 때는 추숑아 임바 손자 조다 建了 때는 파짜메 땅 요바데 다 다자 좀 해줘 두고 그러잖아요. 그래서
And which is why like suffering is a never-ending thing, right? And as always, it always comes due to a cause or a reason, right? And likely we can also let the suffering end with a reason.
나서 도체 다 대송한서 이 채나마서 휴를 가르쳐 보라고 이제 대체도 근데 중반에 히 사법 발장 투약이 된대게 제도는 게 도뒤장로 진스.
I'm just adding this so that hoping in the near future when you guys go more deeply into your learnings and all these things, so that these like sufferings being a never-ending thing and then it always has a reason and all such things would be helpful in your practices.
다디 측간님 바데 다 측간 담보되게 가르쳐나 샘지엔 탐제라 소소게 제대 제기여스 이인가 노블을 하지지게 제대 제기여스 대 제대 제야 돼야 네그 코란 속에 나문에 단에 덩은 남모 루에요 베나네 덩 초도 줘봐 누구 상에 된대지게 삼바되게 제대 제기여스라네 측 담보되게 손사로 왔다.
Now going back to the verses.
Second word 인다. 아나타 샘제 참말라 된대지게 소소게 제대 제야다 된 초도 줘봐 누구 삼사 된대 상로지다 이긴 거 노버단 대sol에 하지지게 샘제에서 자침부 저기 여서 너게나 다 된대게 저 투구를 왜서 된대게 지야랑 안서 매패바게 상로디 간데다고 지네 장구레에서도 계셔들 레와이나 ane kando sodan robi che dani kwenle menta hi yanla samba taba yu chodo jeban zimba hyo seya dige tsidige ane dani kwenle menta hi seya tsidige tendige sano jangu wena mitige ane ngarje sheda ma jes tsonga di zogora uchi songo dos.
Okay. For example, now in the first verse, it says like all living beings being like kept above us, and then we always like may I always cherish them and then hold them dearly. When we think of this, the first root, it should be like, how will we be able to do that? Like cherishing the welfare of all living beings and then holding them dearly. Now the second verse would be the answer to it. Like it says, whenever I'm with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. And this supreme doesn't mean like holding them above us. It means the anger or the arrogance things, like those the negative emotions which we have within us, that we should suppress them.
제자간서 tsitige tanda dodo de dani kwenle men tarhin sila di zamane 치디게 돕드가라 따바이나 다 센지 참말에 라니 쪼아 따싱에 졸라지 라고 여래데 데트한다 된데 자와니네 마레스 다니 꾸엘레 멘타신세 치디게 도쇼진에 가르고 버르잖아 미 칸사 수다 선다와지 잘이나야 수속 로종레야 요르다스 수수 심바 참말에 키와 인 삼산다와지 다 술을 따바이나야 코다 치 간지레야 요 말에 콜다 치 간진주야 요 말에 나라 인 삼사 데사노데 파 유체네 셴 머스 간지지 임바이나야 회기 파로보데 지 소다 뎀베기 강사지 인차위 신체를 콘조자네 수술로 출랭고야기 연대도 솔랭야 요레세 고든 디강로 고두스 나자메 바카
Mhm. And then when we say, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, this does not mean like suggesting us to belittle ourselves other than it means that we can learn from others also, like by not looking down at them. And then in order to learn from others, we should always be ready, like we should lower our own pride and arrogance and all such things, so that because we all can learn from all living beings, like despite it's being a little child, we could also learn something from the kids as well.
야 단다 디레 나제스야 디 쩨인데 쪼 땡겨레스 나제스야 디 뭐네 나랑 냠뉴토네 하고 그래스 수수기지 신규연 중구여 상대도 잠반이 마시비 공의 신규여 상사 대하지 제일 신매와 학고대 못 차리고 근데 내수 용거래라 신규여 상의 녀대 하체 아니 뭐데 연다가 장체네 도시네 질루하대 근데 랍다 나올라 단진다 링디 잠만에 질루하대 내수 만보 용거래스
And then the words to mainly focus on how to lower the arrogance and then the pride thing which we have, like for example, when people are in school, sometimes those smart kids, they would be thinking like, I know there's that, and then those hard workers who put more efforts, and then they would be sometimes like beating the smart guys in a better grade and all such things, right? So in this verse too, it mainly suggests that how to lower your own the arrogance and the pride levels.
최전 디치디게 강도 수단 로비 첼라로와 뒤수 간디지라 이나야 산에 간디지라 이바이나야 다 조본다고지 아 수소게 지금 드본이 본다고지 순다고지란 대화 제바 대위체 콘솔레라니 챵버도 파바 인상서 산노데 마인바체 란냥가 따완다고지 오 셈지 진총 인반다고지 다 던디지게 토네 아니 콘솔로 파 따단 던디지게 토네 콘솔로 파 수수수수를 제완 레완나시 콘솔라야 아니 베드바 카 가르치고 카장 치장 당지 신난주장 마인바진의 생띵의 파 아니 콘솔라 제와데 레고를 했는데 대송도스
And then how the verse 2 starts, whenever I'm with others, it says whenever, like whether it's a friend or like a close one, we shouldn't we should be with them, like shouldn't think like they are, they doesn't know this. For example, like our parents, they are like elder to us, and then sometimes we'll be like, we know the modern education, they doesn't, and all such things, that little arrogancy sometimes comes up, right? But then we should think of them like everyone as same, and then cherish them and then hold them dearly, and then so that like it means that the mind training.
디 나랑서 미 페바지게 미 참말라 안데 파 간데스 따투그레 간데스 제투그레 세안로 제 구그레 제 구야메 소소소소 지 제샤는 드기도와 소소소소 랑고 간테체니 제샤는 드기도와서 단다게 잠블링 초아 제단된 드기도와 삼사 산노디 용도 카보 두스니다 이나야 소소를 강인 체데비 뒤쳐 든지 샤바이나 메기 수강로 소소로다 하산한다고 로바디 제운디 데디게 단디 산노디 자침보 임바 데디시는 하고 그래서
And then as an ordinary person, we would feel like, is it really necessary like to lower ourselves and all such things, right? Sometimes such thoughts might occur as well, because it's not necessary, like because we also like put the efforts in the studies, and then that's how you have come into this stage, and then you should be proud of it. And then like it is okay to have the pride. Sometimes you might take it in that way, but if you are for example, if you are suffering a lot, and if someone else like they offer a helping hand, then you would be super grateful for that, right? So during such times, then this thing comes like whenever I'm with others, like I may think of them lower and all such things, the words to come into practice.
Pena ngaran soge injike tole chashabaina misuda sunda chige sosolo ropanda chi cheba tan tendena wa yawi sho chi kar cheba ina hakala thank you se sidi pesho tangdo ahi tuji che se de che zang soso go pa mel pa tuji che la ki sidi pesho tane sosolo choa ji lewa na hi phakyo de la ji le yo ba song zang ana sanu dagarang ge tone ngan soge ji zambuling koyu de gangla chi pa chu pinchu paro choroda pinchu paji chuje da chi zewa payo chuyo da dende ge tonen rogo ya tangwene gechen bore de res pinchu dende ji meba na ngancho go chone la penyo yo res.
And then, for example, whenever if somebody offers a help to us, we tend to reply back with thank you, right? That means with our own depth felt, and then we are being grateful. That's why we are saying the thank you, right? So the paid back, that thank you, the other person would also be happy to hear that as well. So helping each other and then cherishing each other, that's how the words to like you can lower yourself rather than thinking of yourself being so high and also things.
Ya 도시나 안에 단다디 엔티도 ngarancho checha ngarancho gen zambuling ge sanjulang e pe tona te yesarwa zambuling ge sanjulo tona te yes ngarancho zambuling mi chasang ge da jekha chasang da 지 남주 영에다 헤르가 제영에 저거 차상가 하루 무르 제는 나랑좀 잠불이 코유디 지 냐마토가 이나 김치찌라 찌쟁게 냐마토가 이나 수수랑 산노단이 제대로 있는 안저 잠불인들 강의 용사를 상사지 채나봐서 롤 코거라 녜 펜제로 디 샤데게 두스.
Also, with the global news these days, with global warming and all such things, sometimes I tend to pay a lot of attention to these newses. So sometimes when we think like, if people will be like, if one is thinking like only I am not gonna care this, that, if everybody goes to that I think, then the world might extinguish, right? So it's very important to like help each other and then cherishing like this thing, like together thing is very important.
제가 참상은 얘기 잠불린 디강을 옆에 그 고유 때다 소차 때다 나랑 좀 밑삼아라 상으로 찍가는다고 땅에 탑시 지교에서나 계신 잠불린 디강라 조다 노다 인신다 자침부 지대 차상 하지 대량도 수수 지불하 신지견다 참만다고 지 매번에 차고 현나 아니 디지 용사래 삼산도 근데 삼아 당겨스.
Also, another way to think this is like I used to think is in this way. Sometimes, for example, if there is nobody in this earth, it's filled with like all the natural resources and everything, but you are the only survival on this earth. You like everything belongs to you. Will you be happy? Yeah, and this practice so that it might help if you think it in that way.
제가 근데 제온데 ngaran so zambuling de da de so ngaran so 그 코고 da 시당 시고 코고 다 코유 다 벤조 세야 줘와 de so ngan so la za chen bo re se ngan so 런 코고 지레 당 코고레 마도 자 체혀 de ngaran so ngene 단에 수레 되어서나 초월 요딩에 강사 되다 de so 임바데 당한 so 림비 상노 따한테나 다 코메 지레 된도스.
Our environment, our surrounding, and then the economics and everything is very important. But then the most important of all is the living being that is close to us, like those who can think.
나서 다디 데인다 측강 송바지요와 쥐랑랑 군도 랑주라 또지 녀모 제마타 다게 마루 제베나 센터 돈에 노바쇼스 단디치디게 단단로 찬조노 인스 다니세나 당안초 강로 데서 장디 잠바니 여러와 로 장디 잠바니 간디스 장투그레 지 나랑솔라 지 참상로 컨트롤 제원 여러 참상한 다샤 제원 여러 참상한 나제 제원 여러 덴데 제원데 잠바니 최당 나다 코세야게 덴데 로 망보지 그 쇼리진 그로 망보지게 덴데 상노 추는 코 투야 문도 와세 덴데 용고 문도 와서 라디 잠바니 아니 제장 나샤 준도네 소소로 로 두어 가게 용군도 야와 가게 용군도 또 소소소소소라 따지 제구를 했어야 돼. 대단다래샤스.
Well, the verse 3 we are going now. And then in this verse 3, it is somehow like whatever we had been discussed in the verse 1 and verse 2. Like when you go down there in the last line, like by training our minds in this skillful way, we will be able to firmly face and avoid those disturbing emotions and then the negative attitudes as they arise, and then before they develop any further momentum or power. So that we will be able to hold our those negative emotions.
나서 제자 나랑주 그 수소그 줄어 수소그 따지 제스로와 쩌랑데 초다 셈데 초콜로 수소그 배데 쩌랑 군도스 그 수소그 쩌랑데라 수소그 가두이나 신주제 상노탄스 아니 텐데 임바 손자 나랑주 그 강에 때딩이 뇨뭉세 그 로티게 아니 소소 잠마체 예랑 예 고유제 차상될 강에 땡에데 뇨무세야 되레데 사모til래 사노 뇨무세야 될래 에네 샤죄레네 고유를 덥시들래 그레스 근데 임바송자 사노 마룬이데 나랑서 네거티브 톱스 레진도 하고 데 패디 탑 센터 돈에 도버쇼세데 파데 나랑서 콜은 잠보제 게메레스 콜 코페디 로 연다 쪽 공제는 코페디 나랑서 쟁왕도 파비 현존한 희제는 코피토가 제고레스.
And then it's very important to examine, like to check our own status of mind. So sometimes these negative emotions, they can overpower us sometimes, right? So it's very important that the negative emotions won't rule us, because with these negative emotions as the reason, and then which causes an action from our side, which would be the anger or anything, then that's gonna cause harm to the other person. And so may I firmly face those negative emotions and then avoid those negative emotions.
나랑서 negative thoughts da emotion joro tel naga jundu samota de kawale du ta de mete so da tel hinju je de mete so da no yawa de so gom de mete so la khatti hina penang ngaranso 제부 담방에만 가라서 상주가 생 로장딩에 대해서 전관하는 로적지 죽은 주제에 전반에 셈나 강의도 어떻게 하나 매번다고 그래서 전관하는 로 장제 로 공제 공제 주스진 지상되는 데도 그래서
There were even those great beings who were like imprisoned in the jail like for maybe like 20-25 years, but during their prison time they were never sad, because they doesn't think like, oh, I was like simply punished because of this, that all such things. If they were being able to practice the mindfulness, and then they were being able to like avoid and face all these negative emotions coming on them, then that duration, the long 20 years of being in the prison in that lonely cell and all these things would be nothing. You would be able to like face those emotions, those disturbing emotions, and then you will be able to avoid those.
셈이 단단하나서 녀몽바다 로 냠바다 대소 매딩에 매지 로 야와라 공딩에 매지 임바이나 수소를 강에 매와 수소를 되지요 잠마체 수소고 고유 인에도 차창라 되지 인투야지다 얘는 더시 추는 못되게 매지 다 차투거레스.
And then people with no negative emotions or like those attitudes, how do we say, like a people being used to practice the good ways, then that person is gonna create a good surrounding as well, because of his own like those good reactions towards the others. It's gonna create a peaceful surrounding as well.
세상 참사는 내게 잠불이 나눠라 뇨다당 강예당 메시 차조당 등되게 메기 파안데 쇠션주고 내소도서 고윤데 나랑서게 ene 첩시게 문화된 소 여러 왕 고티 토와데 소게 원에 단에 상주게 생로 로티시 장야 같은데 유로 제나 삼사 야니 양도 삼되게 두스.
Sometimes when we see and hear those wars being declared in the world, like with no reasons, then I tend to wish that these political leaders, if they could practice a little amount of bodhicitta or like compassion or something, then it would be really grateful so that the world would be a better place.
야, 단디 지간 히바디가라 야기 인스간소 랑이 녜베 셈제네 들두 잡에 네
Now
통제.
we are moving to the verse 4.
야, 단다 체장 다 든디게 뇽무데 초바 도와 휴스 라운데 아 거래 나랑서 안데 랑갈은 로디나레 거래 수수 수수 벤조 여보 예 카투 도와라 이나레 미쪽번들이 투디나레 든디 메 셈지 예 강엔 체데바다 아니 강엔나를 홍데와 든디 통화 대위 세 수수 든디 급다 케와이나 아니 수수라지 다 다른 강군에 전에 로파 제고야게 로파 제고야게 가르세 그래
Desire.
제서로 말에 로파 제고야게 고급 개 첨부지 레슨스 다티 로파 다른 로파 맞는 남지 삼사게 벤데 림보체기 때는 거지 소소라 라바 있는 간소 가보치 그러와스 된나기 그다 다른 로파 제고 원에 전에 먹강에 있는데 hunди machila nge ropa machina suche sansage dendri ki ropa chik the ropa che kokab de ane ge chenpo zi che ne ane ropa che tuwa hyose ne dendri songo sares.
For the verse 4, it's more like sometimes if you are taking a walk and then you see a homeless being suffering with cold and all such things, then when you face them, then you should have that desire or urge, and then you should be considering this because you were able to face that homeless man who needs a help, right? So you should have that urge to help him. Consider it as like a great opportunity being offered so that you were being able to help, like how it says here, like if I had found a rare and precious treasure, like difficult to find, it's like an opportunity being given to you so that you could help that homeless person who is suffering, or like that friend of yours who is like being filled with anger and all those negative emotions. You should feel like consider it as a great opportunity to yourself so that you can help them.
야, 다디 수소가 지 로pa che야 돼. 이 수소가 셈나로 사모 가져 자체 중 단토고도 대 수소가 가져 쪼고도 덴디지 제투네 리디어라서 인지메지야 지체 통보지론 제고야 덴데게요 말레스 급다 뒤다 수소 참발라 따고래 따고게 저레스테.
And then you helping them does not necessarily mean like providing a house to that homeless or such things, just like offering him a t-shirt or like a warm coat to wear over because of the windy weather, all such things. By helping a little bit, that is also a very good practice.
그래서 다 제가 얘기 단다디 드린 얘기 마히에가 참데 드네 양이 인서와 아니 나람 드린 춘소로 드네 해와데 텐 담보인 냠뇽다와다 드네게 담만단게 양치 치 춘소고 로로 파멘다데 가저전다 중요메 등에 랍체 특만두스 간단 녜녜네 두스지 해라바데 강원에 타네 가르세 그러고 전속 저와의 출래와이나 나라나 로종지 당한서 간다 지금 라마 가르세고 생 종의 그 라마 기실랑 타반데게 손자 첨부지 간을 드는 나랑서 근데 파초 지 셰어 제라바데 원에 투지 셰스.
Well, I'm gonna stop till verse 4 so that we can continue in the next session. And I just wanted to say thank you to all, and I'm very grateful to be provided this opportunity. It is my first time doing this, so I am not sure whether I did it in a good way or not, but I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
아니 나랑서 저틀렌다 단지바 나랑서 레스랑 카르나나 타가인스.
Yeah, dear brother Lance, now you can continue with the question and answer session. And yeah, one more thing.
네, 강마 휴야데 직수속 셈을 강 코와데 다 지제 ane cheran to towa khande chi thya yo bai na so so ga kan hye chhe de da chi ngarang so chi mama jen jen se ya jorwa ma to ngarang so chi yo jun da wa da chi chi kum den jon da wa da den da za ni ne me kan da phasan nam da ge mama jen jen de chi ins.
And if you all have any questions, you can ask it, and I will give the answer in the best way I could, in a very true way, like how I am practicing, and then I can share it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geshe La and Yangchen La. This was wonderful. Thank you very much. It was very, very, very wonderful to have Yangchen give the translation because her voice is so melodious. Her name actually means great voice, great sound. Yangchen is what is the translation. And hearing her speak and hearing the wisdom coming from Geshe is just magnificent. And we should all remember that the teaching that's coming out of his mouth is very important. And that's the intellectual teaching that we hear and so on. But the real teaching is from the heart of Geshe La and from the teacher. And that heart teaching is coming into our hearts. It's invisible. And there's a warmth and there's a genuineness there that and an honesty that is so present. And I hope everybody has recognized that, and as I did, because it's wonderful and it can bring you to tears. It's wonderful. Thank you very, very much, Geshe La.
Welcome.
So does anybody have any questions or comments that you'd like to bring up? I've got a few questions I can, kind of spark some conversation, but it is important to engage in the discussion, in the conversation. So please try and find something that you can say.
I can start. First of all, thank you so much. I was, Lance, it did touch my heart, actually. It was beautiful that you just said that, because as I was listening, it was profoundly shifting at a very spiritual level for practical ways, like in my job, where I was thinking what you were saying to us about every interaction, how to find that compassion, and that person is your teacher. Because in the type of work I do, especially, in the Western world, everyone is so angry all the time. Like, I can think of that now in that way and say, oh, this is my teacher, right? Like, instead of me saying this is my enemy, this is someone teaching me, like a 2-year-old child or an angry neighbor, someone who's cussing me out or screaming at me. I can just say, oh, this is my teacher. So to help me have a point of compassion, where we say, like thinking of the mother. I like that you said that to us in that way, because sometimes it's easier to say, oh, this person's teaching me right now. I like that. That's so useful. So thank you very much. That sometimes it's hard for me to say, oh, this is my mother, or thinking of every being as my mother is sometimes hard when someone's screaming at you, and being very, very malicious. So I like that, the way you said that. And I'm going to start using that today, right now. So thank you. The other thing I wanted to comment on that you said that I think is useful is just the practicality of saying thank you. Like, you talked about how we say thank you. It's like as an action back and forth. So even finding a way to say thank you when you're dealing in a situation, like the way it generates the energy as a positive or neutral way to engage with someone else, even if it's easy to be negative. There's something we could find thanks for, even if you want to say something nasty or rude back. So those were 2 things that really stood out for me, and I don't want to monopolize like any other comments. I just wanted to say those were very profound for me, and thank you for that. Thank you.
Very good. Now let's take a pause just for a minute to let Yangshin translate that to Geshe, because he may need to hear that in the Tibetan to understand everything that you said, because you said very good things.
And I speak fast, I'm sorry.
Thank you. dilas kare nganzu chamninji gomgore la do da andro rasta ani kongtu la di suso a주 덕불을 지라사 빼셔서다 남기 나가서 미참 마치뉴에 참아 암라 지라니 라야지야 덴돌라디 원티 디스칼레 하고 라야샤 트린 기실라게 엔젤라사 아니 가지나는 때 단데 지게 내가 쳐버리 니야지 내가 쳐서 상마 진짜 콩도 라야 되는 간줄로 봐도 유유 대교로래 땅아산이 엔데 사메샤 김제 콘도 스타디게 오다 코이 말 콘도 된 코니야지 게라레라니야 따디 미디게 엔데로는 따 참닝지야지 디파 랑린타야도 찬주스님 같이 마레 라디게 디스칼레 하고다 이네 딩이 기게레 라디게 모디게 딜라라 안데 갈페하고 차솔야샤 냠닌 첼레 하두스 아니 셴바치 칼라야나 서딩게니 나랑수기 가리네지 충되네 팔린 투지난게 아직도 니 어디 오늘 덴바레샤라샤 투지난디기 나랑수 키시 안수니길 ጼ디 쇼데네 다이네야 투지난 라디 안수 띵네 레디 잠발라샤 간타만다 코기야 두마 야가 직다 상가 디촐 마도니 디스딩가 디촐 두두야 이 장에 배하고 지그레샤 투지난레스
이랬더니 도치나 대간소 단다디 로자야도 거들라 다든데 디스 펜토 용거에 나가라서 니마지 마임바 마임바 지금 론도 니에송 빼나가라서 지 자동디나레 상전한 로디나레 든데 까텔라 지 소소 로텔라 지또 사노 탄데나 네 베타 데고 차노 그레스 제마 콤로 그레스
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's very important. Even when we are resting, it's important to focus on our mind training. Whether we are doing any activities in our daily life, like it's very important to like train our mind so that we could have those positive reactions in a better way.
간다 녀도 종이 그 센지 레도 지기도나 나온 참 대디 수소 가르상 거라서는 오 따디 나눠서 참아 도포 종이 그 로데라레 땅이 뭐마 게게 코 가르서는 코파 유지는 파효되게 수소 셈 두어지 단나주 두어지 땡거도나 게겐 따기야 삼사 셈데 랑살레 투야 된지 아니 가디나 저 수소 최송산의 쇼니가 나니 지그 최송산의 땡요다 유면 좀더 지베스
For example, if a conflict is happening and if your negative emotion, for example, anger, if that's about to come, then you can control that because you are having that mind training practices, right? If you could control that, then even if the other part, if they are like shouting out like anything else to you, but since you are controlling, somehow they would also calm down.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That's interesting you said that because like negativity is very toxic. It spreads like fire. However, it's sometimes very profound with one person is very peaceful and deeply serene that it can actually overcome so much negativity if it's so true and authentic. I've seen that where it's very calming immediately when you're around certain people.
Mm-hmm. 안드로라스 먼저 콩도다 디게 디도 메나시 슈첨보베 도셰이다 라샤 아니 탄다 수수기디 최신라니 수수기디마 자투라디 덴바레샤 마이디 망보 통유유스 Thank you.
Thank you. Konga, I see you have your microphone turned on. Would you like to say something?
Yes. With the first verse, or no, the second verse, when I'm in the company of others, I will regard myself as the lowest among all. So I really appreciate what you said about that being about working with our pride and arrogance. I think that when I first read that, I think, oh, I'm supposed to think of other people as more important or better than myself, or I think less of myself, but maybe it's not so much thinking less of yourself. It's just thinking of yourself as equal to the other people. And I think that helps me to see that a little bit better, and especially I like your example, even children, just not talking down to children, but not that you need to be lower than the children, but just to approach them with the idea that there is something you can learn from this person, no matter who they are, what their situation is, there's some opportunity there for you. Thank you.
아니 렌징이어들라 다니 신레멘타실라 다원들라 라디스tamba니 니게 탐부수수 배도 미레 마마르 땅고리 사메티 타랑 갑도 코송시나 기실라기니 수수 미다냠도 찍바레스 아니 배치는 간주기 불을 라틴전 불 랑신 마디스 통중도 치 남사 시시라이 모두 두다 이나야 부디 수단이 랍절링에도 디페아우 숨숨 토시는
맞아.
Lance, can I add one thing, please?
Certainly. Go right
Yeah,
ahead. That's
yeah,
Dorje speaking. Yes.
sorry, I really apologize. I had some issues while coming home, so that's where I was delayed. So I think, here what he was talking about is like a sense of humility. I think the word inferior is also like sense of humility. So whoever has a sense of humility will be in a much better positions to handle issues, like when you don't put yourself above too much, rather, having a sense of humility that is more helpful, and that is more beneficial from any individual's point of view. I think that's what he was mentioning. The word sense of humility is important to mention here. And Jampa is doing an excellent translation. Thank you so much for making this going on. Yeah, I'm keep on listening.
Thank you, Dorje. Yangshin, please continue with Geshe La.
그러니까 셴발 디차사니 밀리수스 토아타이 아샹기
제가 단다 공개 군가 소마서 군가게 소마난시 전에 먼저 시티게 톱데간을 따지러 다니 퀸레 멘타 히세데 수수데 연다 참마가 나니 쪼완다고 직간지 문정인다고 가리나 문닝이 존다고 근데다고 세 치존다지 고래 고노테 년가 빼 통고도 승이야 이나연 되게 가르 단다 도도데 가르서거든요 이게라 삼바 타바이 초도 제버는 집어 효세 치디게 나랑서 수다 냠도 로와 데비체 다니 해보지 신보인다세 이게라 뛰고가 메다스 뛰고가 메다세 니콜 파레고가 메다세 근데 산노 마임바체 수다 냠도 로여나야 원에타니 미코라라 유엔된 요르다 코라라 체초 요르다 코라나에 지 가리이나에 지 요르다세 든디지 그 토네 따단 든디지 그 토네 어느 파효들 봐 제대 제고래서 단다디 고도 승한조 대상노데 응외 내추다 튠바 렘바 어디 따단다고지 체그 송 고나이 어디 다라레데 하스티
Just like how Kungala said, when we look at the second verse directly, yeah, we might take it in that way, like how it says lowest of all, like we should be taking it in that way. But then when you look around from that thing, from the very depth of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme, which is followed along with the like after that line. So this means like it doesn't mean like, for example, for an individual, if you are whether you are a very great scholars or anything, it doesn't mean that you don't need to ask for others' help, or like, because we all can help one another, like in one or the other way. For example, if you are president of some great company, there will be always your personal assistants who would be reminding you something important, like your schedules being handled by them. Thanks to them, like that assistant, then everything was going in a proper way, right? Just like that. So like each people, they would be having their own characteristics, like, so it's very important to cherish them. And this is a very realistic practice, like realistic way of the practice, the words too.
나랑게 단다 삼블링 나노나 나티시 야만 로뉴야다 나랑게 신주 제비 나노 도스 따인데 자만에 잔냥가 따와데다 지 가르세 그러고 지 토메다 초메 뻔보다 요보 세완다고 마잉바지 진다다 레가 징에 세완다고 마잉바지 이길 징아가 마 나노 차샤바네 조어데다 디월을 세야존다 딘데케샤 마잉바지 잔냥가 따와데 시제 가는 바다와딩이 휴체와다 야와 통고도 자가 나온다고다 이시양 안도 배바다 뜻은 나온다고 차샤바이는 이게야 진다세네 지제 레갈링이시 니체 진다다 레갈링이 니 바로라 진다디 휴 통보인데 반다고다 레갈링에데 마마우 휴인데 반다고다 양지 워 든데기 야마 따당디 디세 그게 봐 자갈을 쪼요 그랬어. 근데 인디 파교도다 추교디니 바로 생기 바다는 것도 그랬어.
And then with my experience and when I see, I could see that in the Western culture, like the equality of this thing, like there doesn't have that thing, how, oh, he is the employer, this is the employee, like the differences. For example, in our Tibetan culture and then the Asian world, there is always these things like the president being considered as the supreme one, and then the workers being considered like they would be levels, people comparing. And then with such things, because of these things, then they won't be able to connect the heart to heart, like the connection, it won't be there. So the Western culture, they have the equality thing, which is very good.
야, 나서 되는지.
Yep, that's all. Thank you.
Very good. Would somebody else like to speak?
I have a question real quick, and thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. And I guess I'm wondering if there have any other advice for how to be practicing and embodying these teachings like in our daily life. So a lot of times for myself, I get very busy, and then I kind of forget my Dharma practice, and I fall into just these old patterns and patterns of emotions, and it's not always negativity, but sometimes negativity, and I don't. It's hard for me to remember and embody my and live out the principles of my Dharma practice. So any advice on how to keep it in my mind during the day would be very helpful. Thank you so much.
Krishna Dilas Maransuta Namsha Gundin to Lasha Ninda Rish Kajin Zam Legada Antidoche Chelagicha any Dilo Jangari any Maransu Nangshu Gajiga at the Nangshu Krons Chair Gimsu Tizukans the chair aim to Lasha Yansusukan in a home to do some control langi to Antidolania how much good to sta one the Maransu me Candilota and the low Janga di Sadawata what you do when the key the mind but it and Ninrela. 딘데까지 니 타방 심바치는 집중 것이다.
제 도체나 때 조합되면서 버려 다디 최장 난속에 삼발라 로장세데 참참의 여러 뒤수지 미실 된전에 해결라 추적 듬반에 대바도 로장세한다고다 양지 나랑서 셈바 소소소소 셈을 답보제세데 대지 로지 뒤거서 답보제되고 근데 뒤수 제가 자원이네 말이에요.
근데 못해.
아니 먼저 최장 로장야데 단계 야쉐디 콩거 som반나시 수소로 콘로 땡이나레 수소로 츠 문년바 힘이나레 데티카도 텔 로장야 고거데 야쉐레스 근데 무슨 저 레가 레베 카도 때와라 로장야 요레라 저 상전나 쪼바당한도 있지 쇠텔라 로장야 요레스 따지 나노서 개차데 디스 찬다켜나마다 간소도 이나야지 샤또 효도를 빼는 거는 효게 되와라 수속의 치다냥도 로디 잠만에 로피다 장하게 되는 용그레스 간이 세번에 치기 치러 쏘잡로 제대한다고다 양지 데데와라 양지 셈지 강에는 후니 안주 치기 양다 세로 제대하죠 근데도 제인데 다가랑 그 톤에 패게지 준로야다 근데 이게 현아체니 패게 현아체니 준로야다 지 난다라야 근데 통용데 잠만에 아카 사면다오지 미싱이 수이나 난다 고마라 삼산다오지 생 히히도 고고도아 삼산다오지 소차다 간데이나 어떤데 로디 가와이나 장도스
Thank you for your question. And then Geshe is saying for the mind training, it doesn't mean like we should have a certain specific time. Like for example, Mondays are for mind training. Like there shouldn't be any such specific times. It should be like something which we could come into our practice, like in our daily lives. For example, how she said like when your neighbor is shooting you out with anger or some nasty words, then you should think it as, oh, they are teaching me something, like they are teaching me how to be, like if you are being angry, like just how she is being, when we look at them, then we find like we don't find them good, right? So in the same way, we should consider them as our teacher, and then like learn and practice through this way. If somebody is being angry with you, or consider it as a like first you can start with these things, and then also when you are at work, like you might face like different problems. So like whatever new things you are facing, you can consider them as your teacher, and then as a growth, and then so that you would be able to like face them in a better way next time. And then when you keep doing this in daily, then somehow it might like when we keep trying to do it daily, then it might turn into a daily thing, like a daily practice. Even like for example, when you are if you are taking a walk, your if you're walking your dog, then sometimes the neighbor dog might come running, and then they would be like the two dogs might bark at each other. And then sometimes if your dog is chasing some wild animals like those small birds and all, then you see the fear in the tiny bird, right? And it fly away and all such things. Then you'll be able to see like all sentient beings, they doesn't want sufferings, like they all wanted that peace and calmness. Likewise, so we can see it in our daily lives. Yeah.
Bena, anda 드링 나랑 저기 식당 로장한테过了谢金카토레라 드링 안서 변천 지슈와이나로와 네 처럼 저러 지 담보디마 모데 같이 그랬어. 모데 제외 카토데라 네게 셈 나노라 오 콘소가라 땅아시 땅으로 제나 삼산다고지 콘소가 지 개반다고지 통로로 제나 삼산다고지 든데지게 산노 톤에 땅이 네디 헤디게 여바 인테나 네게 로디 춘에 잠마시에 따레스
Taranda.
네.
Additionally, for example, in our today's session, we are talking about mind training, right? Then if I am like explaining you guys the verses in an arrogant way, like I know these things, and then you guys are listening to me in such a way, then that is a very sad practice, like being a practitioner. This is a very sad thing. So yeah, and then continue.
대체 어느 대다 냠도라지 나라는 수직 개편다고지 뭐 용년반다지 심비 톤 개편다고지 다 근데지게 톤에 진란다 진라 차본다고지 식진 난준다지 톤에 지 제된 조선다고 근데다고지 제대와 인테나 어느 로춘의 잠마히 다존아지 레고레스.
And then like checking whether I am benefiting something out of this or not, like such things, these are very like bad practice, thinking like I am teaching you all something and all such things.
땅에 저는 제장 근데 돈에 얘기 준서를 드린 나랑 그 뭐네 지 싸는 코단다고 된 도디지 휴에이나 고거든 나랑 뭐네 자체 뭐 휴지 라송 삼사 그게 셈되다 아니 지 고디징이 소래 아니 지 전서 든지 정화데 가딘 첨부인 삼산다 집다 셈 가촌로 휴지 땅기 공로 휴와나 이레스 땅이게 수수가 강 히바데다 강 삼바데다 베게 시부 담바 코랑게 삼바나 이게 수수가 상 두고 말해대 대나니 파 콘솔을 찍디지 편도 제하게 된데게 지 코랑솔로 파지 마다마소네 추쇼게 짐바지 땅 투야게 편도지 중바 인테나 단디 자친 인 삼사게 된데게 상노데야 로장단지 인지를 삼사 땡도스.
And then so I would like to share like my feelings. For example, for today, I was super grateful, and then like felt it deeply, like how we all were being able to gather together and then held this session. And then also I won't be able to like deliver the exact messages like how the verses root text were showing, like but then I did my best, like delivering the message in a way that I understood. And then yeah, I wish to deliver these messages.
아니 딱 얘기 군홍들라 조 자위찬이 군홍들라 나 세면조 지체 아니 되네 그 소속은 준서 빠져 그 가져 투투디 지체셔 그래 되네 제라다 지 가르 중다 마중 세야 되게 차네 야보 중으로 지나니 답배하고 중샤 선사지다 더 야보지 마중 가르서 컨트롤 편도 대자 마중와 이나야 다지 소속문에 간투지도지 제가요다 이 직급다 뒤기 되지 마중아래 삼산으로 되지 그 톤에 로야투야다 로 생이데 ko karase bro yang cha ma pa ma yin ba jine ta ta ni tu gwe de ni ji kan la ta lo xiang ya la ge ji le sam sa ting dos.
And then the mind training basically is like, for example, my intention is to explain you all the best meanings, like in whichever I understood, and then I did my best also, and then then I should stop my mind at this certain thing, like did I really like help you guys with these trainings? Was I being able to like such those negative things, right? Those like thoughts when they arises, I should be able to like stop them with this mind training.
Yeah. 최장 nga tangi kong twal tiji kini to so ngado zubo jaya joro wa ke zubo jaya se de ngone kawan do na jaya de mundu usro yana jim do ji gugu do yana koyu ne shulo lo ji gugu do phasa ji gugu do jupsa ji gugu do lacha na mombo ji gugu do was sem jaya la de tsaw ni ni go mare sro sem jang se de so so samsang nge de sam tan de nge a jang ngal han do samsang do ji ne ko tan na sam de ne samsang do ji ne tsutta de ne ne so ha do.
For example, like just how Matthew said, like how to train ourselves in our daily lives. For example, if we are going to train our body, like shape it, then we need gym, and then we need those machines and all such things, right? But for mind training, we don't need anything. Sometimes I would be sitting on the chair and then thinking, and then I would be lost in thoughts. And then my sister tend to look at me, and she would be like, "What were you thinking?" Like such things. So you can be lost on your own thoughts, like that is also a part of the mind training.
최장 난저 된데 상노 단데 잠만에 상노 따야데 쩨게 차네다 지금 미연다고 쩨 초연다고 지다 그걸 누가 러서 삼산다고 지다 지지 삼데 줘라 된데 간을 주는 거죠 말하면 뭐야 상노데 누가 쇼강을 파데 땅해 버렸어.
And then when we think sometimes, we shouldn't be thinking regarding those things like, oh, he said something bad to me, like he was being nasty to me this morning, like such things. Those thoughts shouldn't occur. When we think about such things, then it's going to the bad ways.
수수가 멋지다냐도最현나래 지 내수 지 단다 연다지 하바 이나래 제 청칸나는 로야라고 지나 내수 가가로와 디明白 이나지 수수 남미 나로를 자청 나로를 그 응알을 측년바지 러선 산에 측년바지 러디 그 인데산 여사르다 단도 때마치 제를 차기 던더지 여사르다 산에 던데 몽보지 갈파 산노 타야데 춘이요 말했어.
And then, for example, if a husband and wife, if they had a conflict, and then if the wife is angry, then during that time she shouldn't been thinking about why did he meant that, why was he using those words, what was his intention, like all such things we shouldn't be thinking. So basically, like we shouldn't overthink, and we shouldn't go into the like the negative emotions, like for them to rule ourselves.
근데 강로 삼노도 왜나 삼노 두와 나오노 파 지진에 배나간서 취지 제도 잠만에 추수카 숫대마 도와지 추팅 수살 파파파파 텐동에 존데 차그레스.
That's like if we are swimming in a shore, like in a sea, if we are thinking in that way, it's like we are going deep inside the sea, not coming to the shore, like the safe side.
야, 근데 임바 손자 당긴 거라서 뒤지도아 쥐랑군도 란줄라 또지 녀문 제마타 다기 마룬 제변나 센터 돈에 도버셔야 돼. 중재 님벌 영화 그 사모 대초대 술레운도 제대로 파 가야고야지 개침부터 송해송스다니.
And then which is why the verse 3, the root text, is very important, like how I firmly face and then avoid it, those negative emotions. The root 3.
Very good, thank you. I'd like to leave a little bit of time for Debbie and for Bernie and for Alex to speak, because they've been in teachings like this many, many, many times. So I'd like to ask Debbie, do you have any thoughts about the content, what we're talking about, or even the process of what it is that we're doing, how this exchange works and so on, and how over the years this has helped you and how you think this will help you today.
First of all, thank you. And second of all, yes, you've explained a lot of things and made a lot of connections and helped me put together things. I've been studying under various teachers, Kenshin, Konchog Rinpoche, Drupal, Tingling Yinpo, Garchen, and Kempo Samdu. And every time I attend a teaching, it grows. You're putting things together, helping things to make sense. And listening, I was thinking about, we do talk a lot about cherishing people. And when you get into negative interactions, especially, that you see them as a teaching moment and you have to put the person up here. And I'm thinking that if somebody is angry, they're angry, not because of you, it's their own suffering. So I work for the government, I work for the federal government, and if somebody comes into the office and they're already upset and they'll say something and they'll be angry or short or whatever, I have to remember, this is not about me, it's about them. Their suffering is more important here. I need to look at them and see that not only do they have their, what they're carrying, but if they attack me or somebody that I'm seeing, it's more suffering. They're more angry and they're further away from their own happiness. I have to focus on that and try to remember it's not that important. It's not important what you're saying to me. Right now, you don't like me, or maybe it doesn't matter. You go to a store and somebody's angry, they're angry, they walked into that store angry. And so responding to that will give them more suffering. If you do anything but try and be compassionate, or at least be quiet, then you're just going to increase their suffering more. They'll get angrier or they'll lash out. And I think that is something you explained really well this evening.
코 공도 사디라면 그 공도 니랑 요 말이라샤 다 큐기 잠잠 콜 야린 양지 닌지다 뎀베토니 콜 랭게니 콘주 돈도 공도 마사 콘주로 파 강이 쇠샤기로 체이도 안 코심데 디야 랭 야가지 도에 체이도 왔어
다가라 도체 제자 코랑 sombatel 멘티 자차자요스 만소 든리임바 손자 자세 정보 희월하게 겁당 뒤당 여당 파효로 로바 지디지요로와 남주다 덴비군이 제구레스야디 시부송요레스
Yeah, I agree with Debbie, like how sometimes when we respond to others, even though like our intentions are in a good way, but that might add more suffering to that other individual. So yeah, and there was a great Tibetan scholar, Geshe Lharampa,
Tibetan scholar,
Indian scholar,
Is it?
Shandideva,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He used to say like it's always important to help others, but you should know like when, how, like the timings and everything. You should consider all the factors as well.
제가 덴리임바 송자 나랑서 체런 somba 남기지 자세 정보 좋아라게 겁다 뒤카히라 소소 힘나기 대해서는 덴리츠 망보여레스
As Debbie said, like silence was like the best answer sometimes for like rather than responding in compassion. That's true. Even Lord Shandideva has told that it's better to stay like a wood, like a tree, stand solid sometimes.
겁좀 걸어 상로 soms로 소소게 emotion 지어와게 소화당 덴리게 토네 어느 파효들 지편 토는 산이지 제가지 덴리지디 파효를 피야 sabla 산웅가라 지 메가라 산웅 현조선다 차야지 다 양거를 소소로 축강에 첨부 태워야 덴리듯이 연구요레스 근데 무슨 상관랑 좋지 장중 정보가 토네 연대 제도 장중 정보가 토네 제단데 배메시기 이 송야레스.
And then, yeah, that's why responding to others might hurt them in other way, and then it might hurt yourself as well. So it is very important to help others with good intentions, but in a mindful way.
What the masonda chetan ngarancho phakyo charang song tagarang res phakyo control lanchi me mangpochi la ching jahye lanchi tende che de zaman susun dil ta de maje la ni chi thakhi kande che baina suso la nyenga yode ando chi da khol phento me de tu che tende chi baina na hin na gi de go ya gi ngone tere de res.
And yeah, for example, as Debbie said, like if the other person is being very angry, then even if we try to like stop them, if we couldn't calm them down, then it's better to like stay firmly, like stay like a tree there instead of like trying to do more and more like.
Brother Lance, I have a quick question, if you
Yes,
don't mind.
please. Georgie, yes.
Yeah, so the earlier regarding how the angry persons tend to suffer more, I cannot agree with it more. It's true, you know, those people who are angry, they are the one who really suffers. But then just put yourselves in the other person's shoes, in the sense like sometimes others trigger my anger. You know, I wish that I will not be affected, but sometimes they are trigger something that triggers, and then I really kind of lash out, or I lose my control and tempers. So is it once you know? So my question is like, the more you try to control yourself, and then can you become better at it? And then the more you get angry, the worse you become. We like the more angry you become. So is it degenerative? Is it like so what I'm saying is like, is it like addictive? So once you the more you get angry, then it just snowballing. You kind of never stops. So I want to minimize it. I want to, how can I minimize instead of snowballing? So that's my questions. So please.
Will you translate that for Brother Geshe La so he understands that?
Le, wo chundu dile karsere lung laya juero wala. Lung laya de ta lung lang de ki di kola ta ka du ne lung cher dry ma to ko lung de ma hia yo ma de bes. Ani ji ya hiwa ran le zegung ran che din ki chi na ko ya ka du ne zegung ran she to ya da de tang ngem pa lam shong ra bo da di ji yuan ya yo re be de kan ji re se ya de re tuwa.
Lasa, toche, ta pe mesi tuwa nyingdi bore. Nganso ngune ngenpa langkyo yore, pel cha kya bayna, jekha top che chung ina re, met top che chung ina re, richi kina katu ina tsembo wanyo rang che dengi chi yungu duwa. Te tsulu yang tsam la pa len te wa ina, je le ma je, tende ki ne su ya wa yunga ke, tende ki ngaranzo ke koyu nano lo thongya tende duus. Tende indi tabane cheza ngarang soge pakyo di kundro laane tsukan la suso la shawa ngimba chegi yona ya suso pakyo lo pa len lo di yinji meji kundro ki yinwa do logo mare es len lo tang te namchue tang herab da shamba tang tende ki to ne len te ya yungre es ngarang so ta pena pakyo di kundro saa jene suso la kaddu yina ya chi yaro ma je jene tsukan la ne che de guduna zhagung cheya de kogi di karasa kura ngaran so zhagung cheya de nyachwe seya kecha de mare es zhagung cheya de kod kuncho de la pa kuncho sawa ma yinba che ane namchwe da denbi ke to ne shik namchwe tenya yorwa chik chwe nga la tsukewa ina nge di pa hyugi yinda se ne kuncho malambi ke to ne kogi de pa kaya ke che do ngaran so pama ke pugula taki ni jibo dende chigi yuwa samsa la nanju ngense la ji tenen 지 제대자만에 파마 콘도 사요 말아 어디서나 탈만지 로야 여러 상도스.
That's. Yeah, Brother Lance. So basically, he's explaining you can't put out a fire with a fire. So the best way to put out a fire is by with a water. So the other person's respond to you is in a very angry way and manner. So you need to use your own intelligence, your own smartness to respond in a way that will be effective and that will work. So in a way, yes, when someone started bully you, and then you are showing forgiveness or patience, doesn't mean that you want to be bullied or you want to surrender to that person's. Rather, it is suggesting that's how you will respond in a more intelligent way that eventually you will win over that kind of bullies.
That's very good.
어떤데로지 땅 알아서 간다 콘트로데 수소를 내차나 수소 기부 자가 말해라 파쇼들 파 렌테탄테 남주도 뎀베기 토네 렌테탄치다 파쇼 콘트로 자야데 남주도 뎀베기 토네 콘트로 자야지 윤투 말레스
Yeah.
페나 알아서 셈데 네 콘트로 말람비게 토네 콘트로 멤비게 토네 남주고 토네 파쇼디게 추칼 디키니 윤군도나 수소칼 파칼 드라트엔치네 지 가라서 지 남주 gem바지게 토네 코스지네양게 체도 남바 연다 간데지 때나 코스는 두 살에나 때때는 느기요레스 콘트로 영원도 로차위 신체를 남바 키워지 땡게 왕도 따나야 딜 내가 뉴링 엠바 용하게 텐데 차이인가요레스.
Yeah. So if you like the other persons are very angry with you, but if you respond it in the similar way, then it is going to have a very bad consequences, because when you lose temper, when you have the anger is that you have is taking your is the upper hands in your management, it has the upper hands, then it kind of colors your judgments. And so therefore an angry person's cannot view something in an objective way and in a realistic way. So therefore when you are angry, then it is not it's the best way to make any decisions and so on.
몰라서 다 되네로지 빼나면서 파쇼디게 저때는 거야나 수수 콘도 말라비게 토네 파쇼데 파 드라고야게 체도 멘다치 땡바이나 준딩 엠바 모유 위차네 파쇼데게 콘도 해야다 코지기 냐 혼도야다고 티다 대용거래서 계시 파쇼디 콘도랑 수수의 콘도랑진의 수수 멘다 땡바이나네 멘다 컴바니 효진에네 베데 준딩 엠바 tel hayage to also shoso hapo degrees.
Yeah. So when we become a victim to our own anger, then eventually we will always be regret. We will always regret, because like someone who is threatening you or using violence, but if you respond in the similar way, and then the result of the consequences will be much worse. So therefore, it is advised to use your own intelligence and smart, your own thinkings, logical thinkings on how to handle in a more realistic way. Thank you very much.
Well, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. We've kind of run out of time, but next time we'll be sure to ask Bernie and Alex and Elia if you will speak first. So, because we want to allow everybody to say something and ask questions and so on. So we don't want to cut anybody off, but we'll start next time with you all. And so if Geshe, would you mind reciting the dedication prayer for us all, please?
샹세와당 최제 샤바당 제소여랑贵些 소완데 개와 중제다기 자사바 탐제 조베 샹추 셩어 나랑도 개와 가르다 디사요 바이나티 사말 평화 쇼세네 티 주데 사말 용 쇼세라 엘라비스
May our merits go to all sentient beings.
Om, ah, hong. Om, ah, hong. Om, ah, hong. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Geshe, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Geshe La.
Thank
you.
you. Lance,
look
will
forward-
you be joining us next Monday?
Yes. So we'll
Okay,
continue. We'll
For
continue
how,
this next Monday.
how many series?
We'll see, but we should be able to finish tomorrow next time.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you very much.
Sam. Bye, Sam.
Bye-bye.